Okay, jumping on here. Not going to talk about, oddly enough, the micro horror RPG in this video, but going to discuss for a minute how you can create a solo tabletop RPG for any genre just off the cuff, just off the fly. Very easy to do. There are really only two mechanisms for any role playing game, for any micro role playing game. The first mechanism being attributes and resolution of difficulties. So the common attributes, there are usually 4 to 6. Darn. The attributes are strength, intelligence, usually dexterity, constitution, which is how tough you are. But then there are some that are tacked on, such as will, power, or charisma, perception. Perception would be like a magical perception. You perceive things. Now, how you can give 4 to 6. You could play a game simply using an oracle, a yes or no oracle, 1, 3, and 6 being the no's, and then 2 and 5 being the yeses. You could play that way and have no attributes and nothing else, but it would be a completely random turn of affairs with no value put on the different attributes of the character that you're playing. You could do it that way, but if you give the attributes, you give the 4: strength, intelligence, dexterity, constitution, the primary 4, I would say, and then if you want to add charisma and perception also. One of the easiest ways to do it, no matter what genre or world you're playing in, I believe, is the dice pool. The dice pool is very simple. You just roll a dice. Say you have 6. You roll a 6. That's your original roll. And you get 6 six-sided dice, 3, 4, 5, 6, as your strength attribute, meaning you stand a good chance of rolling a high numbers there. With the dice pool, if you roll 2 6s, that's typically an immediate success. 2 1s would be an abject failure. That's a double rolls. Otherwise, say you've got 6 dice, you want to roll as many successes as you can. Failures being 1 through 3, successes being 3 through 6. So if you roll 2 5s, a 4, there's 3 successes. Another 4 successes. And then you have 2 failures here, 2 and 1. So you've got 4 successes and 2 failures for your dice pool. That puts you at more successes than failures, meaning you were successful in using your attribute, your strength attribute or intelligence attribute or what have you, to resolve the problem. You can do the same thing for combat. Combat between you and an NPC could simply be your strength dice pool roll, strength attribute roll, plus perhaps the original roll to see what your dice pool would consist of, and use that as a modifier. You roll the NPC rolls, or you roll for the NPC, obviously, if you're a solo player, and whoever rolls the highest hits. And of course, you can decide damage simply by a damage table, 1 through 6, from light damage or stunned all the way to critical hit. And then bump it up, bump your roll, your 1d6 roll, up based on if you're using a weapon, maybe add 1 or 2 as a modifier. Allow a saving roll against constitution, again adding the original roll for your Constitution attribute, the roll that showed you how many dice you were going to get in the pool, as a modifier. And if that's a successful roll, then maybe they take half damage, or their damage is not as severe. It goes down a notch. These are the two basic mechanics: combat and problem resolution. The third being, if you're a solo player, you're going to be using at some point, I believe, an oracle. An oracle. And of course, beyond that, there are other, such as what we have here, rolling a d20 for because I'm using dry erase game board, for how many squares are in the room. You can use miniatures and all that, but that's really not even necessary. A lot of it's just theater of the mind, or it can be theater of the mind, but you're at some point most likely going to be using an oracle with any solo game, even solo games such as micro horror RPG that don't specifically call for an oracle. An oracle can be more complex than just yes or no. It could be, you can add modifiers going from 1 to 6, 1 being an extreme no, if you roll a 1 on a 1d6 being an extreme no, 2 being no, 3 being no however, 4 being yes, 5 being yes because, and 6 being most certainly yes. So you can add modifiers to prompt you to interpret what the oracle says. So you basically, it's very easy to create any genre of tabletop solo role-playing game right off the cuff. You can roll a plot. You can roll using this solo engine one sheet here, which is just absolutely invaluable. The one-page solo engine generator. You can roll up a plot arc. You can roll up a plot hook, random event, and set the scene from there, and interpret it in just whatever genre that you want to play in, whether that be, I got to keep my fingers out of this, whether that be superhero or horror or fantasy, science fiction. You just get the plot hook, roll up a random event using, again, the one-page solo engine, something like that. And you can then get started writing, journaling what your character is doing. Rolling up your character, again, as we said, is easy. Just roll a 1d6. There you've got 4. Say that's for strength. Then strength gets 4 dice in the dice pool. You roll the dice pool to decide if a character can use their strength, say, to lift something. You roll, and if you get more successes than you get failures, and failures being 1 through 3, successes being 3 through 6. Here we've got a tie. Here we've got 2 5s. So we've got 2 successes and 2 failures. So that could be a reroll, and most likely is. And the reroll was unsuccessful because we have nothing but failures here. So that's the dice pool for the attributes, the dice pool system. And combat can work the same way, except you roll your dice pool, your strength or dexterity, if it's a ranged attack, against the NPC or opponent, and whoever rolls highest, you can use the original attribute roll that determined your dice pool to begin with as a modifier, and whoever rolls highest hits. Then you can roll against your dexterity, your constitution score, and use again the original dice pool roll as a modifier. And then if you're successful in that, take half damage. If not, you can roll either against a damage table, or determine some way based in strength and fortitude how many hit points a character might have. It could be 3d6 plus a modifier based on your original attribute roll. All very simple stuff to do. All very simple. Journal, keep notes, ask the oracle questions. Well, first, decide what genre you want to play. If you're like me, you're never satisfied. You want to play horror one day, fantasy the next, superhero the next, and all that kind of thing. You can make it as complex or as simple as you possibly can. Another oracle, obviously, is here we go, the most famous and most indispensable mythic Game Master emulator Fate chart, which is a bit more complicated, a bit more complex, and a bit more likely to provide a number, provide a roll, a value, resolution, an oracle, so to speak, that will prompt you to interpret it in a more interesting fashion. So we go up here and we say something is likely. We ask the oracle, is such and such ranger going to hit the orc? Typically that would be an attribute roll in combat, but just say, or say if such and such ranger can hit the target. There we go. We say it's likely, and we have a chaos factor down here of what's going on in the situation. Say it's 5 and likely, then that would give us a number between 15 and 75. Roll a d100. Roll a d100. Where are we at? That is the 10s. And where are we? There we go. Roll the d100. Oh, darn. We didn't... Yeah. That's a d12. Yeah, there. Roll the d... darn. Roll the d100, and we have a value of 7. So, on our fate chart, we said it was between 15 and 75. So, we really didn't... we really actually... we made it. We hit the target. So, those are just a few of the ways you can whip up a solo tabletop role-playing game in any genre like that, right off the cuff, any genre you want. The only problem being that I've run into is with my handy-dandy dry erase board here. I keep erasing the dungeons. You can obviously map out on graph paper where you've been if a simulation type game is what you're into. But some people are simply into theater of the mind. They want a very quick and very loose game, not with everything always, how many squares can the character move, roll for what direction the monster's in, that kind of thing. And that's fine. Any way you want to play, it is your game. It's a solo game, and it's all about you. I'm not sure what I want to play right now today. I'm not sure the adventure, the micro horror RPG adventure that I've been starting and restarting with the same character. I'm not sure. It doesn't seem to have even their bare bones are not developing. So I may have to try something different today, a short adventure, maybe a superhero type thing. It would take some preparation, or hey, I mean, this is 2024, man. This is a crazy world we live in now. We have the artificial intelligence. You can go to Chat GPT and you can say, Chat, good buddy, I want you to dungeon master a game for me. Or simply have it create the bare bones of one, and you go and you take that back to the gaming table and you play that game. Say, I want a superhero game, or I want a cyberpunk game, or I want a fantasy game, and God love him, chat will usually be compliant with your request. Okay, I hope that this has helped you out, because it certainly has helped me out. Have a nice and lovely Sunday morning. Bye bye.